What's up, everybody? Welcome to the introduction to accents and taps video. So presumably you've come here from single strokes and now you're here at accent tap. Now why do you care about accents or taps, right? Music is super boring if we just play, right? That is super monotonous and that is not interesting music, right? The rhythm's not interesting. The sounds aren't that interesting. All we're working on there is our ability to play a rebounded stroke so that we have that in our arsenal. All right, now we can play rebounded strokes, which means we can play really fast, we can move around the drums, whatever it is that you want to do with those, we now have that skill set. The next skill set is we want to be able to control the volume, the different sounds that come off our drum, right? So sometimes you don't want to just play all the way up here. Sometimes that's super necessary. But a lot of times, there's nuance. You want to play, right? You want to play different heights, you want to play accents on different beats, and eventually we want to play different rhythms. We'll get to that later, but we're going to attack each skill set as it comes. The one we're going to focus on now is the ability to change sounds. That's what we're working on in accent tap, and that's what we're going to burn into our memory, right? This whole exercise is just turning your hands kind of into machines so that they know this is what it feels like to play low, this is what it feels like to play high, and we'll get to some middle ranges as we go through the exercise and hit different tempos, but that's the basis for this exercise. We want to create quiet notes, we want to create louder notes. That makes music more interesting, all right? So, in order to start, let's check out the first chunk of this exercise, your right hand and your left hand. And all it is 8 notes, or two bars rather, of right hand eighth notes and 2 bars of left hand eighth notes. So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and then the same thing with the left. Right? So that's the whole first 2 bars. Now why on earth would we start with such a boring introduction? The point here is to memorize what taps feel like. We're going to start the exercise by just honing in what this feels like. Nice and rebounded strokes. There's sometimes a confusing part for drummers when they're learning is they think, legato strokes are legato strokes, taps are taps, and accents are accents, right? Not exactly. It's a little more nuanced than that, and truly, a lot of taps are really just slow legato notes, right? If we're playing real fast, right, those are still legato strokes. They're just lower, right? So that's the same thing we're working on here, is we're working on low controlled taps or legato strokes. All right, so that's the point. The point for the first 2 phrases, or the first phrase with the right and the left hand, is to burn that into your hands. It's a primer. It's what is this exercise going to feel like? If we're at a tempo, all right, let's memorize what these taps are going to feel like. And then the same with the left. Okay, I have a sense of what this is going to feel like. All right, now let's move on to the next phrase. The next phrase is accents every 2 beats. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and then off the left. And the only thing we've done in this phrase is we've introduced a new accent, right? We've introduced one variable into this equation that we're working on of developing height control and dynamic control. Is we went from perfect, very quiet eighth notes, rebounded legato strokes, and now we want to go, well, what happens if we change that? Oh. All of a sudden, now we have a whole nother musical phrase, right? This is something memorable. It's at least more interesting, that's for sure. I don't know how memorable it is, it's at least interesting. Now we have an accent sometimes, okay? So now what is it supposed to feel like? So the first thing we have to talk about here is downstrokes, okay? Downstrokes are legato strokes. We talk about this in single strokes because we're downstroking on the last eighth note of each hand. Down, down, right? Now all we're doing is we're starting with a downstroke, which is just a controlled legato stroke. A lot of times people get confused and think if we're stopping the stick, I need to squeeze with all my might, I need to really squeeze it, and then, oh no, I'm in trouble because now I have to play nice rebounded legato strokes, but I'm squeezing the heck out of the stick. So this is a good exercise to make you relax. The whole exercise is learning how to relax at different heights when there's accents in different places. So, a nice relaxed downstroke followed by 3 eighth notes, 3 more tap strokes, right? And then it repeats. Relax, and then legato, 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 legato. Boom. Okay? That's it. There's not a tremendous amount more going on here. The key here is just figuring out how can I have the exact same type of eighth note, or the same type of accent every single time. My right hand, my left hand, and can I keep the taps the exact same as they were before, right? That first phrase where nothing changed, can I go through this and have nothing change? It gives you a second because there's a minute between, there's not a literal minute, but there's 3 notes between each accent. 1 and 2 and 2, 3, 4. Right? So you have a minute in your mind to reset. Okay, that was too tight, need to relax, 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 relax. And then you get another shot. Right? So it gives you time to reset your hands and figure out how to relax. All right, let's go to the next phrase. This next phrase here, the accents come a little bit quicker. Right? Which means you have less time to prepare. You have a downstroke, a nice legato stroke, then you have another legato stroke, but then you got to prepare again for that accent. Sometimes people call these upstrokes. I don't like to talk about upstrokes too much because I don't think they're a different stroke. I think it's a legato stroke and then you're just preparing for the next stroke, right? So if you ever hear the term upstroke, that's all it is. I just don't talk about it that much. Right? That's it. You have 2 different strokes in this whole thing. It's a downstroke, which is still legato, and a tap stroke, which is a legato, then another tap, which is a legato, then you got to get ready for another accent. Okay? So the whole purpose here is it gets a little bit harder. You have different strokes moving at a little bit of a faster rate. All right, let's go to the next phrase. The next phrase, the accents come even faster. Sometimes you may hear these called bucks. Right? This one, the accents and taps are changing every other note. Downstroke, and then a tap stroke, and then you're back up again. Downstroke and a tap stroke. So as this gets a little bit more complex, you have to figure out, how do I make my accents feel the same? How do I make my taps feel the same? Do they sound the same? All those things you're going to have to think about as the pattern changes. Okay? So again, the technique doesn't change at all. You want your accent here to feel the same here as it does here. Right? None of those feelings should change, but as the notes move faster, your hand has to learn how to react faster. So that's what we're working on. That's another part of this exercise. The next phrase is 2 accents and then a tap. So now we've kind of flipped it. Before we had more taps than accents, now we got more accents than taps. Right? And the same thing off the left. This is probably the most technically challenging part of this exercise because you're going from a legato stroke to a downstroke to a low tap, right? And then back up. Legato, accent, down, accent, tap, and then you're back up. So there's the most amount of change you can possibly have in a short amount of time. Those are all the skill sets in this exercise combined into 3 notes, and it repeats the pattern. Okay, so when you're getting to faster tempos, you'll likely find that this is going to be, right, the section that you'll have to focus on the most because it's just technically the most challenging. All right, let's go to the last section. The last section I like to look at a little bit as almost like a recap of the entire exercise, where you have 2 legato strokes, just like the previous phrase. Legato, then a down, still legato, just rebounds less. Then 2 taps, so you get another moment to think. You have boom, boom, right? This one is you have more time to think between accents and taps, and you have, it's almost like another reset of what was the most challenging part in the phrase before it, to let's recap. What are we doing? We have good accents, we have good taps, right? That's how we close out this exercise. So that's the whole exercise. We start at 80 beats per minute. I highly recommend that you start there too. It's slow, it takes tempo control, but it gives you a tremendous amount of time to get really comfortable with the exercise. All right? You want to make sure that that you memorize this exercise, because there's so much to think about. If you're reading and wondering which hand you're going to be on, it's going to be challenging just to get through it. But the sooner you memorize it, the faster you can start to work on, all right, nice and relaxed. My tap strokes sound the same. My left hand feels the same as my right, and all those good things that you'll work on. But that is the core of this exercise. All right, so let me know down below if you have any questions about this and how I can help prepare you more. But if you feel ready, I'm super excited for you to get into this exercise. This is probably one of the most important exercises as a drummer, so that you can create interest and variance in what you're doing. And if you're ready, I'm ready. I will see you in the next video. Thanks so much for playing along. If you liked that video, please let me know down below. Let me know why you liked it. Let me know what you're working on, so I can make more things exactly for what you need. And if you didn't like it, keep it to yourself. No, if you didn't like it, please let me know why down below, because I want to make videos that you need. What skill sets do you need? What would make you better faster? Let me know. And if you want to get some real feedback, tag me in videos. Send me an email, tag me on Instagram, tag me on YouTube. I want to give you comments. I want to make this a community, and I want us to all get better at drums faster. All right, I'll see you in the next one.